Hello, and welcome to this special Christmas episode of Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on episode 20 of Chobits. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. Oh boy. So last we left off, Chi has still remained in the hands of her captor. And meanwhile, Hideki has learned from Mr. Ueda, Chi's sort of boss at the bakery, that he was once married to a Persicom. So I feel like this is sort of seeding the idea that not only is such a thing possible, but, it's more likely than you think. And now, she seems to be getting kind of, introspective here. So I guess this other sort of manifestation of her personality, or whatever you would call it, it's sort of telling her, if Hideki's not the one, we gotta leave, and, oh boy, the pressure's on. I find it interesting that, the kidnapper and his little toy Persicom here, they don't really seem to understand what they're messing with, especially considering Chi has often displayed the ability to just absolutely brick all sorts of electronics. I mean, granted, this guy has a textbook on Linux, so I feel like he probably knows more than your average guy about Persicoms. And I get the feeling his computer rig is probably more suitable to handle whatever Chi can output. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know where this is going, because the last time someone tried to take advantage of Chi, well, we didn't really see what happened, but, it wasn't good. And I get the feeling that something like this might happen again, and Chi's certainly in a different space than she was before. So, if that is any indication as to her potency, for lack of a better term, she might cause, some sort of insane blackout. Which, that would be kind of interesting, but, boy, that's not good. Because she was bricking Persicoms within, a good radius of her. And, any that made visual contact with her also got bricked too, even if it was over, a video screen. I mean, I can only imagine if she's essentially, a walking EMP, then, she's liable to do it again at some point. Ooh. Okay, so the guy's gotta basically, hook up a dozen Persicoms just to, handle what she's capable of. That's, Ooh. Okay, so it was that post on the message board that essentially got this guy's attention. Interesting. I mean, it is also interesting that, her capacity to process stuff is, on the order of like tens of other Persicams. Although that said, seeing as how she's hooked up to all this stuff, I feel like it's probably not good. You know, I feel like something's gonna happen here. I mean, like, even though Chi takes all this specialized equipment to analyze, like, the guy's like, man, I hope you are special. Like, I think it's fairly clear she is, but, like... Alright, well... It's unfortunate that they just have this sort of, like, seemingly coded image of a map and they don't know how to make heads or tails of it. I feel like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it is fairly evident that it's a map of some kind, but, you know, it's sort of, devoid of any more useful detail. So, it's interesting that the teacher just sent Shinbo away from his little vacation. Like, I guess this is to her credit, seeing as how, like, adultery is slightly less important than finding Chi, but... Man. At least Hideki sort of, like, latched onto the important part here, that even if Chi doesn't remember, he can, and, like, you know, that might be good enough if worse comes to worse. Like, it's still not an ideal situation, but, you know, I think it's a good thing that he's sort of grappling with the idea that he might not find her in a good state, and, like, if that's what happens, then so be it. So, boy, like, he's just hooking up Chi to all those Persicams and, you know, away they go. The question is, will this be enough? And, you know, if it is, what sort of information is going to be revealed? Because I feel like we're probably going to learn a bit more about Chi, who made her, for what purpose, and all that. Because all that's sort of been kind of nebulous. You know, I guess I can only hope that we're not just opening Pandora's box here, so to speak. So, it's interesting that Hideki's like, boy, I wonder why someone sent me a map. Like, whoa, buddy, I'm not sure that studying is really gonna help you in this instance, dude. Like, if you can't figure out why someone would send you a map. Although, I'm guessing this map here, like, it might have been sent by, those two bizarre people we haven't seen very much of. You know, because we don't really know what their involvement is. They're certainly invested in some way. Oh, okay, the hidden room is behind, like, that sort of closet door. Interesting. Alright. Ooh, okay, so, oh. Okay, so the landlord is not only, like, definitely involved with Chi, but, like, she knew Chi before she became who she is, and she's been writing those books. Wow, okay. So, she definitely knows a lot more than she's letting on, and she's sort of surreptitiously publishing these books. Like, I feel like that's a rather roundabout way of doing things, but I guess if you don't want to be directly involved, you know, that's probably the way to do it, publish under a pseudonym. Although I feel like, considering some of the trouble she's gotten into, you know, it might be better to just, like, level with her and Hideki and say, like, you know, hey, here's what I know, here's what's going on. Of course, we still don't have the full picture of that either, you know. Wow. So unfortunately, that map isn't exactly unique. You know, it corresponds to a whole bunch of areas. Man. Ooh, okay, so now they're putting their noggins together. You know, they've logged IP addresses from that forum, so, like, they can sort of, like, backtrace people a little tiny bit. You know, I'm assuming, I guess VPNs were kind of, like, novel or non-existent at this point in time, so you can sort of, like, trace people a little bit. Now, it's interesting that Shinbo knows about this. So it seems like Hideki's the only one who's sort of in the dark about this. Like, you know, I get it, they found her potential location, but, like, it seems like everyone else knows a bit more than they're immediately letting on, and they're not filling Hideki in, which I feel like they probably should be doing that. Incidentally, it is something that Chi just sort of starts levitating apropos of nothing. Like, it's kind of an eerie sign, I would think. That little tiny Persicom has no idea what she's in for. Ooh. Okay, so I guess this is Chi's doing, you know. The other Persicoms hear a voice in their head, which, like, when you're a machine, that's probably a pretty eerie thing, you know. I guess the question is the voice Chi, and what is she saying? Ooh. Okay, so it isn't Chi. Maybe it's that other personality. I mean, the little tiny Persicom was saying, like, this voice is familiar, which, I mean, there's a whole host of implications tied to that. Wow. So the guy's got, like, 20 Persicoms to kick around with. Like, that's a whole bunch of computing power, I would assume, if they're all custom built, as is claimed. Wow, you know, it's like a little sketchy. It's like we need to find a house with a security company's logo on it, you know, as if, like, breaking into a place like that won't cause trouble. Wow. So, I guess he's being explicit here that he's trying to hack into Chi and, like, brute force it, essentially. Like, I guess it's a good thing Chi's holding up, but, like, boy. Yeah, okay, I'm definitely getting the feeling that this guy is meddling, and there is gonna be blowback from this, and it's not gonna be good. Like, I don't know if Chi's gonna, like, snap and do something drastic, if it's just, you know, the results of his actions, but I feel like, it's gonna be considerably worse than the last time. Man, I wonder if Hideki's gonna get there in time. You know, I feel like it's probably not likely just for, you know, things to be dramatic, but... Well, actually, thinking about it, I'm wondering if he's just gonna sort of, like, snap her out of whatever torpor she falls into. Maybe torpor isn't exactly the right word, but, I mean, that's kind of what happened last time, right? She was sort of not herself, and then, he got involved. Yep, okay, yeah, he transgressed, so, guess it's, cyber weapon time. Yeah, you know, it's not good when wires do stuff like that. They're generally not supposed to be ambulatory. So, yeah, I guess this is what you get for, overstepping your boundaries. Now, I feel like if, things are starting to go off the rails here, there's probably a bit of an indication as to which house is the one you should be going in. You know, all the eerie lights for one thing, but... Wow. It's interesting that she's speaking with such lucidity considering everything. I mean, like, not that I pity the guy or anything, but he's probably not faring too well. She blew out all the windows. Okay, so yeah, now it is really bad. Like, everyone's just getting absolutely bricked by whatever Chi's doing. So that's an interesting turn of phrase. You know, this custom-made Persicom saying, I'm hearing the voice of the one who knows me best. Which, like, surely that would be your own maker, right? But that's not the implication here. Wow, okay, so just like that, she's sort of like, you know, not calming down, but like, man. You know, I thought we were gonna kind of have to go like Iron Giant here a little bit, where like Hideki goes out of his way to calm her down, but guess not. Wow, okay, that's an evocative turn of phrase. So it's interesting that she's sort of sidestepping all of his questions, like, you know, hey, are you doing this? And I guess it's interesting that she's asking her own question, like, you know, hey, like, what do you like the most in the world? And, man. Okay, yeah, so there's a whole bunch of stuff here that's going on with no real explanation for what's behind it, and unfortunately, the question has been posed to Hideki. It's like, alright dude, like, you're gonna have to come up with an answer here, like, what do you like most in the world, with, you know, the proper answer being fairly obvious, I think. The question is, like, would giving that answer be telling the truth, and if not, would lying to answer the question, like, you know, would that still work? You know, would that get the desired outcome? Interestingly, she has seemingly no memory, I guess. Like, I mean, I don't blame her for being kind of shaken up about the whole thing, but like, you know, she seemingly doesn't remember what just happened. Perhaps it's for the best, you know? Because, like, boy, some of that stuff was unsettling. So I guess, like, I don't blame her for sort of passing out, except for the fact that Persicoms normally don't do such a thing. So the question is, like, she out of power or something? Because, like, if that's the case, like, plug her into this guy's wall socket, like, that'll learn him. Drive up his power bill. Wow. Okay, so this guy's just playing innocence, like, yeah, no, I totally didn't abduct Chi. Oh boy. You know what? I hate to say it, but I think Hideki should like toss this guy out the window or something. Just teach him a lesson. And like this guy, like I do feel almost a little bad for him because his Persicom is just like absolutely dabbing on him, saying like, "Oh, I can only tell the truth. You're lying right now." It's like, man. Now, I'm not sure I approve of Shinbo's method saying like, hey, we're taking your Persicom, dude, but, ooh. Okay, so these two pesky people, they're just sitting around lounging, not doing anything. And the guy's saying like, oh man, that was a close one, presumably indicating what happened with Chi, but... Huh. Ooh. Okay, so he was the one who sent the map. I feel like they have a vested interest in bringing out that other personality of Chi's, but... like, as that guy said, he's also a little bit more interested in seeing how things progress on their own first. So I guess presumably, if Hideki turns out not to be the guy, their job is to, like, swoop in and capture Chi or something like that. Or perhaps to enforce the idea that she must move on. So yeah, unfortunately, Chi's still not waking up, which, that strikes me as kind of a bad sign. There's a whole bunch of questions, no real answers, like... I feel like in Hideki's mind, this is a bit of a worrying pattern here, where Chi, occasionally just does some bizarre things and, bricks other computers, but, oh dear. At least she's awake now. It seems interesting that she would just, like, pass out and take the time to sleep. Wow. Imagine getting scolded about, like, password security by Sumomo. And I guess it's interesting that now the concept of a Chobit is out there. Despite everything that she displayed, everyone's still like, oh no, it's an urban legend. Like, I don't know. I feel like there has to be some credence considering everything it took to sort of like try and hack into her, and even that was all unsuccessful. Ooh, Mr. Ueda, we forgot all about him, didn't we? And, oh, yeah, they have to pay for the book. Whoops. I mean, I feel like, they can't really blame Chi for shoplifting, right? And now Hideki's, like, pondering on the origins of this book. Like, we, the audience, now know, but, like, at least he's sort of understanding that, like, yeah, this is kind of weird. And, frankly, it is kind of weird that this person would write a bunch of books for this one particular person and just have them sold in local bookstores. Alright, well that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. Merry Christmas, Space Cowboy.